Hello everybody, GS Bricks here today, and you might think, oh, are you playing Lego Marvel Superheroes? Well no, I wanted to make another video. I wanted to talk about how many characters in the roster are official minifigures that you can own, in case you wanted to do like your own display, like amiibos. So this is kind of gonna be like a Pat Mac video. I don't know if you watched that dude. He did a video about what characters you can get as plushes, and I kind of wanted to do it with Lego Marvel Superheroes. So we're just going to get straight into it. So first off is all the Iron Mans. All of them have official minifigures except for Tony Stark underwear. A lot of these are fairly cheap to get. The Mark 1, if I can actually go on to it real quick, because this is a very old game. The Mark 1, this style does, if it loads, just give it a minute. This style, like this helmet and everything, doesn't exist. The only Mark 1 that exists is the Avengers Endgame Armory. Out of them all. Tony Stark came in the Mansion set, but there might be a little downgrade. This Heroic Age was a 2012 Comic-Con exclusive. I think it was 2011 or 2012, a Comic-Con exclusive. So I would not sacrifice your kidney for it. So that's all the Iron Mans. Hulk, of course, has a official minifigure, and this one is the 2012 style, of course. Sadly, there is no Bruce Banner, only Hulk. There is, of course, the Endgame Bruce Banner, but Infinity War Bruce Banner, but it's not accurate at all. Of course, Spider-Man gets many minifigures, and this is definitely the cheapest out of them all. Both Captain Americas, of course, have minifigures, and this Mr. Fantastic, unfortunately, does not have an official minifigure, which is actually pretty strange to me, because I would have expected one. Especially that Daily Bugle showdown would have been great for him to show up, but if you really are desperate, I would not recommend. But you can chill out for a bootleg from some other company. Hawkeye has an official minifigure as well, which is of course the 2012 one. A lot of these will be the 2012 ones. Black Widow, of course, has an official one, but I don't like this version because it doesn't look accurate at all. Of course, Wolverine, he has his official minifigure. And same with the cowl style, because that came in the X-Men ship set from 2014. Human Torch does not have an official minifigure. And now moving on to Thor, I think I went on Classic Thor. Classic Thor, of course, has a minifigure from the Hulk Lab Smash set. That set was my childhood. Normal Thor has a minifigure as well, because he came in the 2012 sets. For this Cyclops, there's only one version that was made official, and it's actually this one, but it doesn't have as much beautiful printing as it does here. That, of course, came in the same 2014 set, same as the cowled Wolverine. So this is technically the only one, because the other one isn't actually official. Jean Grey is not official, but Phoenix is, and sadly, this is another Comic-Con exclusive, so do not sell your kidney for it. Storm has an official minifigure, but the hairpiece is completely different. If you wanted to just get out one, you don't have to get a fake hairpiece. You can just stick to it the way it is. Beast does not have an official minifigure. Iceman does not have an official minifigure. Neither do Invisible Woman or The Thing. Nick Fury, of course, has official minifigures. This one is, of course, from the 2012 line, yet again. Maria Hill, I can't remember, I think it was a different version. She does have an official minifigure, but I can't remember what it was from again. But I do know she has one. Agent Coulson does have one, but it's definitely looking a lot different. I think it was a 2016 set, where he had a really cool car, and that was a different version compared to this one. Abomination does not have an official minifigure. Absorbing Man does not have an official minifigure. The AIM agent didn't actually come in the whole Lab Smash set, because that's actually set in an AIM lab, which was quite kind of confusing to me. Archery then Killian, I don't know if I pronounced that right, does of course have an official minifigure. He came in the Iron Man boat chase set. And then he just laughed. This is a bit of a weird one, because this version of Ant-Man does not have an official minifigure. But there are, of course, the MCU ones. You could just do it like that, and of course just go the MCU route, but sadly there is no comic book versions, even though people have been requesting it. Archangel, I don't know if I pronounced that, does not have an official minifigure. Neither does Armanzola. Now, I know that this is Aunt May, and I know Aunt May has an official minifigure, and it is literally perfect to the one in this game. Beetle actually has an official minifigure. Came in the Daily Bugle Showdown from 2013. Black Bolt does, of course, not have an official minifigure, which is kind of sad. I would expect him, but, of course, since Doctor Strange 2 made him an absolute imbecile, I doubt they will make it. And by the way, before we continue, I did do my research on this, so I know what are official and what are not official. Black Cat is kind of the same with some of the others. She never had an official minifigure, but in the Daily Bugle from 2021, she did actually become official. Same with Black Panther. They made one a little bit in the future. But you could probably just use the one from the 2020 Avengers game sets, because they look the most accurate. Blade is exactly like Black Cat. Never had an official figure till the Daily Bugle came out. Blob does not have an official minifigure. Bullseye does not have an official minifigure either. Captain Britain does not have an official minifigure. Carnage does have an official minifigure. He came in, I think it was like a SHIELD aircraft battle with Miles Morales, which is this version, of course. But there are, of course, the 2020 versions. Colossus does not have an official minifigure. Dr. Kirk Connors does not have an official minifigure, probably because the Amazing Spider-Man didn't get any Lego sets at all. Damage Control, of course, does not have an official minifigure. How did they do my boy Damage Control like that? That is just disrespectful. The same, of course, applies with Daredevil. They never made this version, but then the Daily Bugle, of course, came along and did give us a version of Daredevil. You probably would just have to take those horn pieces off, and then you'd be fine with it. I do not know who this is. I completely forgot, but they probably don't have an official minifigure. Destroyer does not have an official minifigure. Doctor Doom, of course, has an official minifigure. He came in the Daily Bugle Showdown, and he is fairly expensive. Both Doc Ock, of course, have official minifigures. If it loads. This one was actually the first one that came out in the Doc Ock Hideout set from 2012. And this one came in the Doc Ock, I think it was a bank one, where he like chased down Doc Ock because he was like trying to rob a bank truck or something. The same, of course, happened with Doctor Strange as well. They've never made this version. But if you want a close one, I'd say the 2016 one from the Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum is definitely your closest bet, if you want one. Doombot, of course, does not have an official minifigure, but I guess you could just, like, take the helmet off. I doubt they would have made his minions in that set yet, but I called them minions, because that's pretty much what they are to Doctor Doom. Doombot V-Series does not have an official minifigure. Dormammu does not have an official minifigure, which is kind of strange why he didn't show up in that 2016 set. Now, I'm actually going to have to kind of explain to this. There is only one version of Green Drax, and it's actually the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special Advent Calendar. But that's the closest you're actually ever going to get to a Green Drax. You might just have to stick to that Green Drax from the Advent Calendar. Now, Electro is a bit weird because for some reason, they've only made this version. It came out in that really low-rated Spider-Man set. If you really, really just, like, desperately really want this Electro, you might just have to get the Duplo version. Elektra has not had an official minifigure. Emma Frost has not had an official minifigure. Frost Giant hasn't. Galactus hasn't. Gambit hasn't. Gamora, you will of course just have to get the MCU version. Ghost Rider does have an official minifigure, but it's not this one. It's probably, your best bet is the one probably from the 2016 set. Now, Green Goblin's a bit of a weird one, because they've never made this version, but in 2016, the Spider-Man Bridge Battle set came out, and this is what this one looks like, so you probably will have to just do it like that. Green Goblin Ultimate did, of course, get a minifigure in that set that no one really liked, the Spider-Copter. Groot is exactly like the others. There is a normal built version that came in 2014. Gwen Stacy came in the Daily Bugle, but it didn't look like this one. Havoc did not have an official minifigure. I have no clue who that is. Herbie did not get an official minifigure. Howard the Duck is probably the strangest out of them all, because he's never had an official minifigure, but there's a San Diego Comic-Con Deadpool duck, so if you really just want to do it, I would not recommend you sacrifice a kidney for it. The Hydra Agent has not had an official minifigure, not that I know of, but I am actually just going to quickly rewind that. Here we go. Hydra Agent has had an official minifigure in the same one where the classic Captain America came. You notice I used my Doctor Strange powers to reverse what I said. Iron Fist, of course, had an official minifigure. He came out in the Doc Ock's hideout set, just like with the Spider-Man as well. Hulkbuster is another one. There is a brick-built version. There is no official bulky version. If he loads up, there is no official bulky version like this, but there are, of course, bootlegs. J. Jonah Jameson, this version has had an official minifigure. It came in the Daily Bugle Showdown, and it did get its update in the 2021 Daily Bugle. Juggernaut has not had an official minifigure, neither is Kingpin or Kingpin Henchman. Kraven the Hunter is quite like the other ones on this list. He does have an official minifigure, but it doesn't look like this. It came in the Bridge Battle set as usual, like that. Curse does not have an official minifigure. Who is that? Leader has not had an official minifigure. Statue of Liberty, I think it was a Lego movie set where you actually could get it. I don't know, but I do know there is a minifigure version. I know that. So you have to not buy a Marvel set. Loki has, of course, had official minifigures from the 2012 Avengers line. If Loki decides to load, there we go. It looks exactly like that. But if you don't want to shed it out, you can get the awful 2020 version, which came in that overpriced 4+ set. Magneto has, of course, had an official minifigure, and this version was actually fairly cheap. If you watch Minifigure Minute, which I totally would recommend if you want to find the prices for these minifigs, he was about, I think, £13. You can translate that to dollars if you want. The Magneto, I'm going to just call him Henchman. Magneto Henchman has not had an official minifigure. Only one version of the Mandarin has been made, which is Mandarin from the film. They have not made the comic book version. Mary Jane has, of course, had a minifigure. It came in the Spider-Copter set, same with Spider-Man Ultimate. It came from Ultimate Spider-Man. Mastermind has not had an official minifigure. The Sentinel, there is, of course, that brick-built version from the 2014 set. MODOK has an official minifigure. It came in the Hulk Lab Smash set. Moon Knight does not have an official minifigure. Miss Marvel, this version does not have a minifigure, sadly. That is Mysterio, and if you want your closest version, probably get the one from 2020 up to the Daily Bugle, because that's probably going to be your best shot. Mystique has not had a minifigure. Nightmare has not had a minifigure. Nova has had a minifigure. His minifigure was, of course, in the Daily Bugle Showdown, and he was, of course, exclusive to that set. Pepper Potts is the exact same. This version is the only one that is an official minifigure. Sadly, Rescue has not ever been made. Power Man, a lot of you are probably thinking, oh, they've probably never made him. They did. In the same one that came with Mary Jane and the Green Goblin, the Spider-Copter, he was actually the one who actually was piloting it, which was pretty cool. Professor X has never had an official minifigure. Psylocke has never had an official minifigure. Only up till now have we actually got the Punisher, because he, of course, came in the Daily Bugle. You can just give him that hairpiece, and then it's just going to be completely accurate. Punisher. Yeah, so you're probably just going to have to make a few changes if you want to. Pyro has not had a minifigure. Red Hulk is like the others. He came in that set that just too good. Like, completely hates the Hulk versus Red Hulk set. It's not this one, but it's your best shot that you actually will get with this minifigure. Red Skull has, of course, had many minifigures. If you want one not at a pretty cheap price, the Hydra Stomper is probably your best bet because it's pretty much the exact same. And now he's laughing. Rhino is a bit of a weird one. They've never made this version, but there is, of course, the infamous one from the Spidey and His Amazing Friends set. If you really want to complete it, you might just have to use that minifigure. Ronan the Accuser. This comic book version has never had an official minifigure. Neither has the Roxxon Guard Sabretooth. Sandman has, of course, had minifigures, but they're a bit different. There's one from the Sandman and Rhino team-up set. I know you're thinking, oh, you just said Rhino doesn't have a finny. It was a brick-built one. It was meant to be based off the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Unfortunately, my boy Sandman Goon has never had an official minifigure. She-Hulk, it isn't this version, but she only came in one set. It was a Red Hulk versus Hulk set, which sadly they never actually made that version. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, this was the one I never actually bothered to research again, but I'm pretty sure that they did make him or they didn't. You can correct me if the comments don't get disabled. Shocker's kind of the same. I actually know that they've not made that, but they did make his MCU appearance. Silver Samurai has not had an official minifigure. Spider-Woman has had her official minifigure, but it's sadly a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, so another kidney has been sold. Squirrel Girl has not had an official minifigure, neither has Superior Spider-Man. Super Skrull, Symbiote Scientist, or Symbiote Hazmat. Taskmaster has had an official minifigure. I have it somewhere. Where have I put it? I put it down somewhere, but I know I have the minifigure on me. Somewhere. It's probably lost. I actually have no clue where he is, but I do have him. I literally know I have him. Toad has not had an official minifigure, neither has Union Jack. Venom has had his plenty of minifigures, and none of them have changed. There's no leg printing or arm printing, if he bothers to load. There we go. Only this version of Venom has been made. We have never had a big thing Venom, which I thought they could have done in the Daily Bugle, because that would have been cool. Viper has never had an official minifigure. Vulture has, but his might be a bit different, but I know they've made official ones. There's, of course, if you want the cheaper War Machine, this was the same one that came in the set with Audrey Killian, which is the boat battle from Iron Man 3. And Iron Patriot is an official minifigure, but it was an exclusive polybag to Game or GameStop if you bought like a Marvel Superheroes. So sadly, this has been bumped up in price. Wasp is exactly like Ant-Man. They have never made a comic book version, but they have, of course, made the outrageous MCU one, which isn't even accurate. Whiplash is kind of a bit weird because he never had an official minifigure, but in the overpriced Iron Man Armory set, they've actually made Whiplash, which is kind of strange. Wizard has never had an official minifigure, so now we finally get to the DLC. A-Bomb has never had an official minifigure. Thanos, if you really want to do this, there was a 2016 Space Battle set which came with him, which is just pretty much this, but just change the head, if you really just want that. Beta Ray Bill has never had an official minifigure. Dark Phoenix has never had an official minifigure. Falcon has. He came in the Hulk Lab Smash set, which was the same one with MODOK and Taskmaster. Hawkeye Classic, I'm trying to think, they haven't done this one. But there's of course the one from 2020. Spider-Man Symbiote. This is yet again a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, unfortunately. Winter Soldier had an exclusive minifig, which was exclusive to a polybag. I forgot where you could get it from, but I know they did that because there's an alternative base that you can do. Curse of Dark World has not had an official minifigure, neither has Odin, which is kind of weird. Malekith Dark World. Jane Foster has had an official minifigure, but it sadly is Mighty Thor. It's not this. Sif has not had an official minifigure, and neither has False Dag, Hogan, and Raffle. I don't know if I said that right. So here we are at the end of the video. That is just my count to say how some of the Lego Marvel Superheroes characters that you can, of course, get in official form if you ever wanted to, like, recreate the roster. Some of these, of course, have never had official minifigures. I also, of course, don't have many of the roster. I also wanted to say that I just remembered now, Deadpool does have an official minifigure, and he is worth about £25, which is fairly expensive. So I'm just going to quickly fly up to the top of the Avengers Tower to give my final whatever I was going to do. So, one sec. So that is just my saying of half of the roster you can make. Like I said, some of these you might just have to shell out for a bootleg if you want to get, like Mr. Fantastic, for example. Because because it's kind of weird that they've never made the Fantastic Four, but they've made the villain. So now that is just my saying of some characters that you can get in physical form. So make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.